Hey guys, welcome to Jaxbeautifulyou. I am super excited for today's video because we are going to be reviewing the brand new ABH Norvina collection Pro Pigment Volume 5 eyeshadow palette, and I am dying over this. This is what the palette looks like, and the packaging on this is super duper beautiful. It's so pretty. I love purple eyeshadow, so when I saw this, I was all about it. I knew it was for me. And this is what the palette looks like, and I can tell you right now, it looks way more beautiful in person than it did online. I thought it looked really nice online, don't get me wrong, but this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Now, I haven't done anything with this palette. I actually just got it in the mail today, and I don't know if the quality is any good, but I am super excited for it, and I am praying and hoping that this is good. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jackie, and I do beauty, perfume, and special effects related videos on this channel. This is a judgment-free channel. This is a positive channel, and everybody is welcome here. So if that sounds good to you, then I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe. Also, head over to my Instagram and my TikTok, which are both Jaxbeautifulyou, to check out more looks that I do over there as well. So in this video, I am going to be doing some swatches of this palette. We are going to be doing a first impressions where I do a look with this palette, and then I am also going to be doing some comparisons. I did see some comments on Trendmood that people were saying that this looks like something that has already been done before by Norvina, and I'm curious about that myself, so we will be checking that out and doing some comparisons today. So if you're interested in seeing all of that, then just keep on watching. Now, I do only plan on doing one look today with this palette in this video. However, I am going to do another video where I do some more looks because I definitely want to play with this palette some more, but today is just a first impressions video. I decided that I was going to be barefaced for the beginning of this video because I don't know the quality of these shadows. I have no idea what the fallout situation is. And I'm pretty messy anyway with my eyeshadows, so we're just gonna start with the eyes and then I will put the rest of my makeup on later. Okay, a little information about this palette. This does retail for $60, and you can get it on the ABH website, which is where I got my palette from, but I found out that they are selling this palette at Sephora now as well. There are 25 different shades in this palette, and some of the shades in here are considered a pro pigment, and pro pigments aren't exactly considered eye safe, so just keep that in mind. They can stain your skin and they can cause sensitivity to the eyes. I personally have never had any problems with any pro pigment before, so that doesn't bother me. And I do see that they have one pressed glitter in here. This shade right here is a pressed glitter, so keep that in mind if you don't like pressed glitters as well. But for me, that doesn't bother me. I love glitters. So you are the boss of you, and you have to decide whether or not that's something you like or don't like, or if you don't want this palette because of the glitter and the pigments. That's up to you. That's your decision. Me personally, none of that has ever bothered me, so I'm going to go ahead and use them. Anyway, let's get into some swatches of this palette. Okay, I'm going to go row by row. All right, guys, this is the first row. This is A1 through 5. And I will say that everything swatched really nicely. Okay, guys, this is row B1 through 5. This shade right here, the shimmer shade, is absolutely gorgeous, and this shade is beautiful as well. So is this one. These are super pigmented. I mean, they look beautiful. The swatches are doing really well so far. All right, this is row C1 through C5. This shimmer shade is gorgeous. And this matte right here, that's one swipe, and that is super pigmented. They feel really good. They feel like nice and creamy almost, and just blendable. really, I'm okay. I don't want to, you know, get too excited here and jump the gun, but I'm getting really excited for this. I mean, the swatches feel amazing. Okay, guys, this is row D1 through 5, and this right here is the pressed glitter. It looks beautiful, and it's swatched really well. It wasn't chunky at all. It didn't feel real coarse. It felt pretty fine, like pretty finely milled glitter, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Okay guys, this is the last row. This is row E1 through 5, and this shade right here looks divine. Absolutely super beautiful. Look how shiny that looks. And this shade, this matte shade, looks so deep and plummy, like dark and beautiful. That looks amazing. So I'm super excited to play with this. Let's go ahead and test this palette out on the eyes. All right, I just set my eyelids with the ABH primer. I thought it would be only fitting. Okay, I'm obviously going to do a purple look with this, but I'm trying to decide what kind of purple look I want to do. I know that I really want to test out this shade right here, E5, this really, really dark one, because if they got this formula right, that is a difficult shade to get right. And if they got it right and it blends out really nice, then that's going to be a good sign. So I'm actually going to start with that shade. All right, I'm just going to put this on the outer corner. That is very pigmented, and it's a very beautiful, dark, vampy kind of purple color. I really love that color. Really, really pigmented, and I'm not seeing any fallout at all with that shade. Let's do a little bit of blending and see how it blends out. Okay, the next shade I want to go into is B3, this extremely beautiful, like lilac looking shade. I am going to dip into that. It looks so pretty. And we're going to put that on the middle portion of the eyelid and kind of blend that in to the other shade a little bit. That is a very pretty shade. And then I want to dip into this shade right here called C2, and we're going to put that on the inner corner. I'm not going to wet the brush or anything. I'm just going to see how it applies with just a brush. Very pretty. Let me use my finger. Yeah, when you use your finger, that definitely makes a difference in the shade. That is a very pretty shimmer. And then I'm going to take this shade right here, this B2 shade, and I'm going to put it on my fluffy brush, and I'm just going to put it right up into my crease area above where my crease would be, and kind of blend out the edges of all three of these shades a little bit. Okay, so far everything is blending really nicely. That shimmer looks beautiful. I do want to add another shimmer in. This A3 right here, that looks really, really pretty. I'm going to put that on top of this matte lilac in the middle. Just using my finger here. Kind of blending these two shimmers together to make a little bit of a smoother transition here. And then I think I'm going to take this E3 shimmer here, and I'm going to use that one to make a transition between the lilac shimmer and this outer corner. So far, so good. These shades are performing really well. I'm really, really happy with the performance. I feel like that dark matte shade did really well, blended out nicely, and I feel like the lilac matte that I used in the middle was really beautiful. I'm super happy with the way the shimmers are looking, so everything I'm trying so far is really nice and I'm really, really loving it. So I'm going to clean up this mess. I'm going to put on the rest of my makeup and then we're going to go through some comparisons of other palettes that possibly may already exist in the Norvina line. I know I saw some comments on Trend Mood about how we've already seen this color story before, so I'm curious to see if that's true or not. So let me put on the rest of my makeup and then I will be right back. Okay, before we review this palette with other palettes to see if it is in fact a palette we've already seen before, I want to finish up the lower lash line. So let's use some mattes that we haven't used yet. Okay, I want to use this shade right here. This is D5, and it has a little bit of a sparkle to it. Let's see if it actually has sparkle when you put it on the eyes. I don't really see any sparkle, so there's sparkle in the pan, but not really so much when you put it on. Okay, and I'm really wanting to try out this shade right here. This is B1. Looks super, super pretty. I'm going to use this as my inner corner highlight. Kind of a messy, crumbly kind of shade. So I'm going to spray this down. I feel like this is going to get everywhere. Wow. When I sprayed that down, do you see the difference? That looks really pretty. That is intense. So that shade, if you spray your brush, the payoff is really, really good. I think that is a beautiful, beautiful shimmer shade. Let's use it as a brow bone highlight and see how that does. That is super intense. Okay, this shimmer shade that I just used as an inner corner highlight, do you see this? It is super metallic and wet looking. It is an amazing shade. It is very, very messy, so be careful. I would highly recommend that you wet your brush, but the payoff, I mean I don't even know if you can see how pretty it is. It's got this just gorgeous shift to it, almost like a little bit of like a gold shift into it. See that? Like it shifts to a little bit of a gold. Oh my gosh, that is a gorgeous shade. I am loving that shade. I think it makes a beautiful inner corner highlight and brow bone highlight. So I'm really, really liking this, guys. This is going well. However, do we already own this palette? Let's find out. Okay, the first one that it was compared to is the original Norvina palette. This is the Pro Pigment palette volume 1. So this is what volume 1 looks like, and then this is what volume 5 looks like. So I do see a couple purples, especially in the mattes, that maybe look comparable. But as you can see, it is a different color story. This is more of like a lilac-y, purpley, berry, like almost kind of like the She's in Parties a little bit. That's what it reminds me of, where it has the really, really dark tones like right here, but then it also has really, really light tones as well, like lilac-y kind of tones. And this shimmer right here is to die for. So I also noticed there is like A1 right here, there's a matte white, there's also a matte white in this one as well. So yeah, there are a few comparisons between the two, but I honestly feel like they're different enough that I'm not mad that I have both of them. This is the volume 4 palette. It looks like this. This one has a little bit more like pinky tones to it. So let's compare the two. This is what they look like side by side. Actually, this one seems to be a little bit closer than volume 1 in my opinion. There are a few shades that look a little similar to each other in both of these, but this leans more on the pinky side to me. There are definitely a lot more pinks, whereas I feel like in this one there are a lot more like lavender shades. But this one also has some browns, whereas this one does too, but the browns look just a little bit darker perhaps. So yeah, I think that there are a couple of shades that are pretty similar to each other, but it is a different color story still in my opinion. And honestly, I think I prefer this one to the volume 4. The volume 4 wasn't my absolute favorite out of all of the Norvina palettes, and this one I am absolutely loving. So I still feel like this was worth it for me. Let's keep comparing though. So just for reference, this is the volume 2. This is more of a blue-green. As you can see, it's nothing like the volume 5. And then you have this one, which is the volume 3, which I think is beautiful for fall. I think it might have a couple of purples that look a little bit similar and maybe a couple of browns that look a little bit similar, but this is definitely a completely different color story. I was curious about the Jaxbeautifulyou palette in comparison to this because there is a shade in the Jaxbeautifulyou palette that I'm wondering is a dupe for this B1 shade that I am obsessed with right here. So let's swatch them. Well, actually, let me show you what they look like next to each other. There are a couple purples, and as you can see, I think there are a couple of pink shades that might look a little similar in the palette. A couple of browns that look a little similar. But what I'm really curious about is if B1, which has that golden shift to it that I showed you earlier, is comparable to this shade right here, which is Trust Issues. That's what I thought. This one is the B1, and then this one is Trust Issues. So I feel like those are pretty darn similar to each other. This one from the volume 5 palette looks like it might be just a little bit shinier and maybe have a little bit of a more golden shift to it than this one, but those are pretty close to each other. So I also feel like this shade and this shade look awfully similar to each other. So there's that. And then I want to compare it to the Norvina, the original Norvina palette that looks like this. So right away I see this shade right here called Celestial and A3 right here look very similar to each other. So let's swatch those two side by side. So that is A3, and then right next to it is the Celestial from the original Norvina. So they're not the same. This one's a lot darker. So those two aren't really the same, but I'm still kind of blown away by these two shades right here. And then I also see two pink shimmer shades. I have E1 and then Wild Child. So these two pink shades right here, this is E1. And then this is Wild Child. Those look exactly the same to me. One might be just a little darker. So really what it seems like to me is that this palette is an extension of this palette. They look very similar to me. It almost just seems like I said, an extension of the original Norvina. So now that we've seen them side by side with some other palettes, that's a kind of an interesting situation for me because I really love the quality of this palette. I am super impressed with how everything performed, and I really love this eye look. However, since I own all the other palettes, do I need this one? There are a lot of shades that are similar to other ABH palettes, I will say that. And the original Norvina, I feel like this is a very toned down palette. This is a super beautiful palette. I love this palette. But it is a little bit more toned down, and it's more of just kind of like, it reminds me of spring. It reminds me of kind of light color if you just kind of want a wash of color. And then this one just seems like an extension of the original Norvina. A couple more shimmers, a couple more darker colors, some more, you know what I mean? Like there's a matte white in here, which there's not in this one. Definitely some deeper outer corner mattes. So I guess you just have to ask yourself, is that something that you like? Will you use the extra shades that are in this palette? Or do you just really find this palette to be everything that you need? You know, do you wish that this palette had a little bit more depth to it, or are you happy with how it is? You know what I mean? If the answer is you like this palette how it is and you don't need anything else, then you don't need this palette. However, if you wanted a little bit more depth to the original Norvina, if you wanted a little bit more options, this is definitely a good quality palette. So I'm just going to leave it up to you. Now that you've seen the comparisons between the different palettes that are already out, I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether or not you think you need it. Personally, I am not mad at all that I got this palette. I absolutely love it. I love the packaging. I love the color story. I love the depth. I love that there's a wide range here that you can do, where you can really make things super, super light, or you can really make things super dark. I love purple. I can really not get enough of purple eyeshadow. Yes, there are some repeat shades. Yes, there are some shades that I already own that look really similar to this one, but do I care? No. Because this palette is gorgeous. So there you have it. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not you think you need this. I'm definitely happy that I own it. And like I said before, I will do some more looks with this palette. So I'll probably do a 3 looks, 1 palette video to show you, you know, some other looks that you can do with this. I think that there's more that you can do. You don't just have to do purple. There's definitely some neutral looks you can do in here. There's even some like pink looks you can do in here. So we'll be doing those soon. But I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope it gave you the information you needed to decide whether or not this palette is right for you. I will say, as far as the quality is concerned, it is amazing from everything I've tried so far. No issues whatsoever with blendability, pigmentation. The shimmers are stunning. I absolutely love this eye look, and I hope you like it too. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I love to hear from you guys. Let me know if you think this is a palette that you will be picking up or not. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and until my next video, take care. Bye!